Hello, you are listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and the Amazon #1 best-selling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how you can heal yourself naturally. Now, our guest today is Teresa McCallum. Teresa is the author of the Amazon #1 best-selling book, Finding Balance and Forgiveness Through Chakras and Art. You can find out more about Teresa and her work at teresamccallumauthor.com. Welcome, Teresa.
Thank you so much, Catherine. I'm thrilled to be here. I really appreciate it.
Now, Teresa, you have a lot of different backgrounds. You're a nurse, you're a therapist in mental health, you're a Reiki master like me, and a chakra healing person also like myself. How in the world did you get interested in chakras?
Oh, it's a funny story. Well, it's not really funny, but it's like anybody's story. All of us at some point in our life go through some sort of a little challenge. We all have them, and we have those little bumpy times. And it was during a particularly bumpy time that I realized I was a bit of a mess. Obviously, all my chakras were banged up. And I didn't know that at the time. And I was doing a lot of soul searching and looking in all sorts of avenues, traditional healing, more alternative healing methods. And I didn't stumble. I'd heard about the chakras, but I decided it was time to explore them more. And so that's what I did. I just sort of, by organic process, stumbled across chakra healing and delved into the ancient sort of methods of chakra, and then sort of guided myself towards a more Western way of looking at things. And I haven't stopped. I just did all my levels of training, and that, I use it in my practice at work. I use it in my art. It's sort of become all-encompassing.
Yeah, and many of us authors have written extensively about the chakras. I know that 2 of my books specifically have long chapters about the chakras. My first Amazon #1 bestseller, What is Healing? Awaken Your Intuitive Power for Health and Happiness, has long chapters about the chakras. And my most recent, my 6th Amazon #1 bestseller, The Difference Between Pain and Suffering, talks about your chakras. Because when your energy centers are shut down, you're exhausted and you're in pain.
Yes.
So for our audience, Teresa, what exactly are chakras? How would you explain it?
Sure. So like I said, the chakra, this is not a new thing. In Western world, it sounds newer, and it's sort of almost a bit hip to be talking about your chakras. But the chakra experience and knowing about your chakras is thousands and thousands of years old. It comes from India. And chakras are energy centers. We are surrounded by energy. We're full of energy, and we can exchange energy. And the chakras, there's thought to be hundreds of chakra centers within our body, and they impact and have an impact on various aspects of our life, our physical, our emotional, our spiritual, etc. But the ones that we kind of most hear about are the 7 main chakras, and that's what I've focused on because people are really interested in the 7 chakras, and they deal with the biggest issues in our life, the sort of the base needs, wants, desires, and self-actualizing and enlightenment, the things that we all want to get through. So the chakras that I'm talking about mostly are those 7 chakras. And they're like I said, they're energy centers that they're like valves really within the body. So energy goes up and down and in and out and sideways. And these valves actually help to balance the energy centers so that you're, instead of being all about, well, I'll just give an example. If you're heavy on your root chakra about protection and, focusing on money and, building a safe, strong house and keeping yourself very structured and full of ambition to keep yourself safe, if you're all about that, you're probably a little bit imbalanced and you're not focusing on your upper chakras. So if you work on balancing those chakras, you can actually start to balance each of the centers, and so that your full energy becomes more comfortable.
That's a great explanation, Teresa. And for our audience, I'm going to add further explanation. Your chakras correspond to your endocrine glands.
Exactly.
So for example, you've got a thyroid gland in your throat, and you've got your fifth chakra corresponds to that. So your 7 primary chakras that Teresa is talking about corresponds to your endocrine glands. And I've also made videos talking about the extraordinary chakras, because some people argue that there's as many as 27 chakras. You also have minor chakras in your hands. So those of us who do energy healing work, it's very important that we keep the energy centers in our hands open and in your feet open. So now, Teresa, how can we ordinary mortals perceive our chakras?
That's a really good question. And a lot of people go, well, how do I know? This is energy and sort of invisible stuff you're talking about. But just to take it to a basic level, when you're feeling not right, there's probably an imbalance in your chakras. So some people, like if there's some sort of an imbalance in maybe your upper chakras, your crown chakra, let's say, you might feel very flighty and sort of not able to focus on what it is you need to do. You may be experiencing headaches or some really extreme things, or dementia and various things like that. But those are extreme examples of an imbalance in your chakras. But when you get used to looking at, visualizing, and working on your chakras, you can quite swiftly tweak out what chakra or couple of chakras are likely to be a bit imbalanced. It's a bit intuitive. You really need to sort of listen to your body and listen to what you're saying and presenting to the world, because often when we're out of balance, and we hope to mostly be in balance, but when you're out of balance, often you're working from an avenue of something is missing or something, there's too much of it, and you're possibly overcompensating or you're avoiding. And so when you get into those coping mechanisms that aren't the most useful, probably you're having some struggles with your chakras. So if you go back, you start to revert to sort of the coping mechanisms you had when you were a child, or when you were in less healthy periods of time, it's maybe some time to work on some of your chakras.
Yeah. And again, for our audience, I would say, if you're feeling fine, and by fine, I mean frustrated, insecure, neurotic, or emotional. If you're feeling frustrated, insecure, neurotic, or emotional, one or more of your chakras are going to be out of balance.
Exactly.
And again, for our audience, and I talk about this in my book, The Difference Between Pain and Suffering, there is a flow of energy in the body. And if I'm doing a medical intuitive reading, part of what I'm doing is I'm literally following this energy flow in your body.
Yes.
So I'm going to explain this energy flow. So energy enters the body in the crown of your head, okay? And there's a vertical electrical current called the Hara line. And the Hara line goes all the way up to universal God source, all the way through you, down into the earth. And the Hara line, this vertical current, feeds your chakras. Now, the reason that the chakras are so important, and the reason that the chakras are so crucial in natural healing, is your chakras, these vortexes of energy, which are on the front and the back of the body, they feed your acupuncture system.
Yeah.
And your acupuncture meridian feed energy into your organs, and your organs feed energy into your muscles. So by the time you have a pain in a muscle, for example, you've got a problem in the organ, a problem in the meridian, and or a problem in the chakra, or a distortion in the Hara line. So you can go back up the chain. And many people do not understand the way that energy flows in their body. Many people have a better understanding of how your car works than the way energy flows in your body. And these chakras can either be open or closed. They can be over energy or under energy. And a real simple way that I find to tell whether your chakras are out of balance is to use a pendulum.
Yeah.
Right? So for example, this morning I did Reiki with a client. She's in adrenal burnout. And when I checked her chakras, all of her chakras were shut down. So what she was feeling was just completely depleted and exhausted. You know, we've all been there.
Yeah.
And a couple of days ago, I worked on a lady, and when we started, her grounding chakra was on. So she was completely grounded to the earth, but all the rest of her chakras were shut down. So as Teresa can probably attest, you can have certain chakras open, others closed. Exactly. And at the end, the benefit of receiving Reiki is that when we're done, all the chakras are completely open and balanced, and the energy is flowing. Now, Teresa, I know that you use art to balance chakras.
Yes.
There's many different ways of balancing chakras. So how do you use art to balance chakras?
Well, it's interesting you brought it. I did want to touch on what you just mentioned, that using a pendulum is one of the best ways of just doing a quick assessment, and it's astounding actually to see the energy pull on that pendulum, and you really do get a good sense. So every time I do a chakra balancing, I use a pendulum. But I use, sort of like most energy healers, I use multi methods, and I do hands-on healing. However, my book and my practice is all more geared to self-healing, and so doing things that you can do without necessarily always having to go to a healer, or you're somewhere where that's not possible, or you can't get to something like what we're doing right now and talking to someone. There are, as so many ways of healing your chakras. There's yoga, using our natural resources, the outdoors, physical activity, visualization, meditation, all sorts of things. But I found in my practice, and as I learned more about the chakra system, that art tied in with the chakras just beautifully. And I'm an artist, and I love color. And part of the attraction to the chakra system is it's so organized. There's colors, and it's organized by the color of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, all the way up. And I just started to think there's a tie-in. If you visualize the color and the chakra you want to work on, you actually are right away are doing some healing yourself. So I started experimenting myself with meditation and painting. And I also work with some very severely mentally ill patients. And we started doing art therapy and focusing on the different chakra levels. And what I found was art just right away heals. I've done little experiments and some research where I've done nothing else. I've done an assessment with the pendulum, then done an hour to 2 hour art session, and following it. Doesn't matter what art was done. It could be pottery, it could be painting, it could be abstract painting, it can be singing, dancing, any kind of art. Right away, people have an improvement in their chakras. It's amazing. But I also, for each of the chakras, for imbalanced chakras, offer the best arts to use. So, someone who is maybe excessive in their root chakra, so all about, foundation and making sure your needs are met, but is lacking in their crown chakra, which is often the case. If you're excessive in one, you're often depleted in the other. Working on things that enhance the crown chakra, such as abstract painting, listening to opera, or seeing a ballet, sort of higher level kinds of art appreciation, or even not doing the art but appreciating art, there's a connection with the chakra, the type of art that you're doing. So in my book, it describes many different art suggestions, everything from when and where to paint, like to energize your solar plexus chakra, which is all about energy and getting the job done, and it's enhanced by the sunshine. Painting outside at the beach or in the sun is it's very energizing for your solar plexus chakra. There's tons I could talk about, but that gives you an idea.
Now, let's go through those in a minute, but I just really want to affirm for our audience what Teresa's talking about, because art, like Teresa said, whether you're creating art, whether you're writing music or playing a guitar or singing or making a pot or beading or knitting, when you are creating art, you're feeding your soul.
Yes.
And color therapy, there's some things in natural healing that you think it's not that big of a deal. Color therapy is extremely powerful. And the reason is that a color is a vibration. And each of these chakras that Teresa's talking about exists at a different vibratory level. And you can tune in and figure out, today I need to wear blue or I need to wear yellow. And you can feed your chakras that way. So I would love to hear from you. Would you be willing? What kind of art feeds our first chakra? Could you go through the chakras and tell us about the art that feeds these chakras?
For sure, yeah. So the root chakra, it's the base foundation, and it's realistic. So if your root chakra is deficient, so you're more up in your upper chakras and maybe not very grounded, grounding yoga poses would be great, but I focus on very realistic things. So making pottery, getting your hands in dirt, clay, finger painting, or painting a realistic subject. So painting a bowl of fruit, painting trees, painting or drawing flowers, those kinds of things. Anything that's tactile or very realistic is very balancing for your root chakra.
Also drumming, correct?
Drumming, I save drumming. Drumming is phenomenal for your root chakra, but it's also amazing for your throat chakra. Drumming is expressive, and it's telling a story, and it's letting you get the emotions out. So we jumped to the throat chakra, but drumming is good for everything. Every art is good for everything, but if you really want to zone in, it's different ones. Sacral chakra, that's all about your passion, your desire, the things you want in life, sensuality, sexuality, desire, creativity, things that are watery. So any fluid kind of artwork, dancing, and I go off of the beaten path of just art. Anything to do with water, swimming, water ballet, even aquasize, but dance is one of the ones that comes first and foremost because of the movement and the flow.
And free-form dance, as opposed to highly choreographed, right? Exactly.
And picturing, someone with flowy, it's very feminine, it's a feminine energy at the sacral chakra. So I picture flowy garments and just dancing naturally, or belly dancing, hula dancing, very the more sensual dance kind of thing. Yeah. Do you want me to go up the chakras?
Yeah. Please, yes.
Solar plexus chakra. So that's all about ambition, motivation, getting the job done, drive, power, empowerment, and it is energized by the sun. So anything solar is going to do it. So, but to me, it's the more structured, like tap dancing, drumming too, working, I know it sounds funny, but working with power tools, building structures. I had someone who, they were just so depleted in their solar plexus chakra and their throat chakra. And so we worked on projects making bird feeders, and it sounds silly, but it's, the planning it out. There was a lot of thought process in how to do it, the tapping motion of, banging the nails in, but starting with nothing and creating something, but where there's movement and energy and goals. And so where you can tick off the list, to achieve what it is that you set out to do. So more structured things with the solar plexus chakra. The heart chakra, which is sort of, I shouldn't have a favorite, but that's sort of where it all is. And that's where you find balance is at the level of your heart chakra. And really, it's not what you do, but more where you do it, how you do it, and how you're feeling about what you're doing. So doing things artistically that are kind, and with other people. It's to do with connection, to do with not being alone, and if you're sort of depleted in your heart chakra, doing things with children and animals. So doing drama therapy or drama with children, or puppet shows with children, or I know it sounds funny, but painting with a puppy at your side. Things that are loving and kind are the way to go. But all arts feed the heart chakra. And music is big throughout, but especially with the heart chakra, like laying down in a forest and listening to your favorite music is probably one of the best things you can do for your heart chakra.
Yeah, and I know that waltz, the rhythm of the waltz
absolutely
mimics the rhythm, the natural rhythm of the heart.
Exactly.
So waltzing with a partner or listening to waltz.
Yeah, and dancing chest to chest is right away you're doing something to open up your heart chakra for sure. Yeah. Do you want me to finish the chakras?
Yes.
All right. So we've gotten to the heart. So throat chakra. Those of us who write, I know you're a writer and I'm a writer and I write every single day. That's probably one of the best things you can do for your throat chakra. So people with a very strong, well-balanced throat chakra tend to write, even if they're not formal writers. They're journalers. They're people who write in a diary. They're the people who doodle. They're talking to someone. They've always got a pen in their hand and they're doodling. Those are people probably who have very strong throat chakras. But people always think, oh, you're always thinking of people who have trouble getting their voice out or getting their message out. On the flip side is the importance of silence. And so taking silent retreats or just having periods of silence in your day is also very energizing for the throat chakra.
And singing in a choir.
Sing anything to do with your voice. Drama as well, drumming, anything that gets the message, like releases your message or uses your voice. Yeah. And then your third eye, the most interesting of all the chakras, I think, and that's to do with perception and seeing your future path, intuitive hits, knowing what's to come, looking at the big picture, those kinds of things. The art for that, again, it's everything, but dreams are really important with your third eye. And so people who do work with their dreams or journal their dreams are very good at balancing their third eye. Also, I don't know, I'm sure you've heard of it, The Artist's Way. It's a book that was around, everybody's read The Artist's Way. That book alone gets people in tune with their third eye, their sixth chakra.
I also find, Teresa, that surrounding yourself with beauty really feeds the third eye. So whether this is creating, feng shui in your home, you've got a beautiful home environment, a beautiful garden. And again, if anybody's seen my website, I'm obsessed with orchids. Just the more beauty that you can surround yourself. Beautiful
Yes.
clothes.
Yes.
Right?
Crystals. I've got them. They surround me. I look on, I don't know what you've got behind you, but they're very pretty. But you've got beautiful objects behind you, like right away to me that just.
Those are my 6 #1 bestsellers. Those are the covers of my 6 #1 bestsellers. So.
Well, they're encased so beautifully in the gorgeous frames that to me that just, and it's right at the level of your third eye, you know, your 6th chakra. It's, you know, anything like that, beauty. And then of course, the crown chakra. And when I wrote about, and when I teach about the crown chakra, I tend to look more globally, not just at art. It's, you know, it's about connection with spirit, the divine, connection with other people, going into our inner selves and being at peace. So the obvious things are, you know, meditation, visualization, yoga, of course, but art that is more cerebral. And so abstract art is, I know that sounds funny, but because it's not, it gets you away from just thinking about the everyday stuff, the things we know. If you use abstract art and music together, and generally music that doesn't have words, so, you know, classical music, or, you know, different cultured music, you know, chakra, there's lots of chakra healing music. I'm going to do a pitch for Tom Bird, but Tom Bird has a beautiful music element to his writing. Those kinds of things really energize your crown chakra and help to put you in tune with either spirit or wisdom, gaining knowledge, learning, those kinds of things. Reading, just reading, doesn't matter what you read, but reading is excellent for your crown chakra.
Yeah, and solfeggio harmonics, which are the harmonics of the Gregorian chant, help to open up the...
Absolutely.
Yeah, open that up. Right, and channeling. Anytime you're really tuning in to your soul guidance and allowing your soul guidance to flow through you.
Exactly.
Yeah, channeling. Yeah. So now you, in your book, you also write about forgiveness, and you and I shared this belief. I've written lots about forgiveness as well, and how crucial it is to forgive. I find that, for example, if you have cancer, one of the most important things you can do is go through and forgive everybody for everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, we talked about what is a chakra, and a lot of people hear about forgiveness. How would you describe forgiveness? What is forgiveness, and how does forgiveness help us heal?
Yeah, well, you touched on it right away when you were mentioning it. Forgiveness, it sounds sort of simple, you know, oh, I'm sorry, okay, you're forgiven. But it's much deeper than that. And forgiveness is mostly for ourselves. We always, I think people tend to think, oh, I'm forgiving you, well, I'm letting you off the hook, or, you know, okay, I've forgiven you, so it's good for you. But no, when we forgive, whether it's someone else or ourselves, we're healing our heart. We're healing our heart chakra. When we're not forgiving, it's easier to talk about when we're not forgiving, we hold lower frequency emotions. So we have blame, guilt, shame, resentment, anger, fear. Those kinds of emotions are real emotions, and we need to express them. And when they're part of our life. However, if we hold on to those and we harbor them, there's something we need to forgive. Whether it could be something from before we were born, you know, it could be something from our ancestors. It could be something to do with how we were raised. It could be an issue that hurt us, or it could be ourselves. We may be not giving us the joy, the passion, the life we need to lead, and are holding ourselves in lower frequency emotions. And we need to forgive ourselves and let ourselves awaken to the joy and the pleasure that there is in life. And you mentioned it there, Catherine. If we don't, it comes out in physical pain. It might start with an emotion, but eventually, if you don't heal that and if you don't forgive, you're going to end up doing damage to your body. Depending on what the issue is, it comes out in physical pain and illness.
And so, I'm sure you would agree, Teresa, I find as a medical intuitive healer that forgiveness shuts down your chakras.
Mm-hmm. Closes them right down.
Sorry, lack of forgiveness, when we don't forgive.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Closes them right down.
Right. So if you're not forgiving someone, then it's shutting down your chakras. And to me, forgiveness is a lot like the trash can in my kitchen. I took it out yesterday and I'm going to have to take it out again today.
It's never ending. It's a circle. It's like same laundry, it gets dirty and you have to clean it again. And it's a never ending process. Yeah.
So I know that you in your book talk about Ho'oponopono, which can you explain for our audience, what is Ho'oponopono?
Sure. Well, it's Ho'oponopono and it's Hawaiian. It's an ancient Hawaiian ritual, really, and it's a belief system, and it's all to do with forgiveness. It's actually the forgiveness ritual, and the wisdom of Ho'oponopono and the various Hawaiian beliefs and traditions are passed down through the generations by kahunas who are experts, and the expert wisdom that's being passed down is called huna, and that's exactly the word it is. It's wisdom. So Ho'oponopono, what it means literally is ho is to make and pono, right. So Ho'oponopono means to make right or to make totally right. And the belief is that the only way to make things right with yourself, with the people you live with your ancestors, and with the land and animals in nature is to forgive. And it's based on no judgment, no harm. And it sounds very simple. It's based on 4 little lines. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And that sounds too easy and too simple to be true. But if you work on those and inside your head constantly, like every time I go walking, I do it. I do it for 45 minutes to an hour and a half every day. I go through that ritual. And I do it for myself. I do it for others. There's old things, maybe you've got a sister that you didn't get along with, and, there's some old whatever, or somebody did us grievous harm. Some of us have gone through some terrible, terrible things. Or, like you said, you've got cancer, or your child has cancer, or whatever. It's hard to forgive something awful, like someone who's done something horrible to you. And it's very, very hard to forgive an illness or your situation when it's bad. But when you actually put these words into practice and you practice forgiving it, your energy changes in your body, and you're not full of lower frequency emotions. You start to fill yourself up with the positive, more positive energy, and you can actually heal yourself. I'm not saying that, saying I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, will get rid of that cancer, but you can certainly cope with it better. And it's been shown that people who are forgiving and loving actually can decrease tumor size and all sorts of things. I mean, you're a medical intuitive. So Ho'oponopono is, to me, critical in a book on chakras, because it's all about the heart chakra. It's all about relationships and fixing the relationships that we have, including, and probably most importantly, the relationship we have with ourselves. So forgiving ourselves.
So Teresa McCallum, I'm wondering if you would be willing to guide our audience through this Ho'oponopono process. And so I'm gonna, if you're in the audience, I'm going to invite you to think of one person that you could forgive more thoroughly. Okay, whether it's yourself or someone else. I love the passage in the Bible where someone asked Jesus, how many times should you forgive someone? And it's basically endless.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, watching, think of one person, maybe it's yourself, that you could forgive more thoroughly. And Teresa, will you guide us through this Ho'oponopono process?
Sure. And I think I'll have to preface it with, I mean, you can do it out loud, but generally it's in you're talking it in your mind. You're saying it internally. And you think about the person in the situation. And for, if it's someone who's close to you and that you feel that you haven't got to the point of forgiveness. And it could take many, many sessions. It could take a lifetime to fully forgive someone. I know someone that, oh my goodness, it took years for me. And that's a horrible thing to admit. But inside your mind, you take yourself to a peaceful place. You can't do this in rush hour traffic. You can't do it. I mean, I guess you could try, but take yourself somewhere nice. So hopefully everybody sitting here listening is in a good place anyway. And you maybe do a little bit of meditation before. I find the best is to go for a walk, just walking in the woods, walking in nature, or sitting in a park, or sitting in my garden. I love the garden. And try to ensure you've got some peace and quiet. And in your mind, you just say, I am sorry. And you say, I am sorry, whoever it is. And if it was me, I'm sorry, Teresa. I am sorry, Teresa. I am sorry, Teresa, for blah, 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 whatever it is that you're sorry for. Now, the hard part is if you're angry at someone, you're taking ownership of being sorry for something that they may have done. I'm sorry that I allowed myself to be in the situation where you took advantage of me. I am sorry that your background was such that you felt the need to steal my wallet, or like those kind of, I don't know what everybody else is thinking, but you actually need to be able to say, I'm sorry for what you've done, but also for what the world has done that brought the person to the place that caused them to do something that hurts you. So that's a hard thing to work on.
And I want to say that when I'm working with my clients and we're using the Ho'oponopono mantra, because it is a mantra.
It's a mantra.
And even if you notice that you have some resistance in yourself, like, I'm not sure I'm ready to forgive this person. Or, whatever they did was so egregious, I'm not sure that I can.
Exactly.
One of the things I like to encourage people to do is to put your hand over your heart.
Over your heart. Exactly.
And just say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you.
Yes.
And a lot of times when I'm working with my clients, I ask them to include eye activations. And eye activations activate different parts of your brain. So you can repeat the mantra as you look up, as you look down, as you look right, as you look left, eyes open, looking up, down, right, and left, and then shutting your eyes, looking up, right, down, and left. And again, even if it's difficult, holding your hand over your heart so you can feel the shift in the energy.
Yeah.
And just like cleaning, I talk about, I vacuumed last week and I've got to vacuum again this week. So when you notice that you've got feelings of bitterness or negativity, then it's an indication for you that there's another layer of forgiveness that's available for you to shift that energy so that you can be more clear.
Yeah.
And you can be more in the present moment.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. A few years ago, I was in just a slight, when you just have just that little bit more negative view of yourself. And for whatever reason, it's, I'm not fast enough. I'm not good. I'm not as good as that person. It's a terrible way to be, but I was in that mindset. And all I did was the mantra over and over. And I did it walking. Now, I know for me, to me, tuning into physical and thought process, I think it sort of doubles it up. So doing something, whether it be yoga or just movement, dance or whatever, and just over and over, I am sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. But hundreds of times, not just once or twice. You need to just keep doing it. And when you hear or feel a negative word or image coming in, just don't even think what it is, but just say the mantra. It really does work.
Yeah. And part of the reason I think that it works as a medical intuitive healer, when you're repeating that mantra, you're literally putting yourself in the vibration of unconditional love.
Exactly. And that's the biggest thing. It's unconditional love.
Yeah. And unconditional love can heal us no matter what is going on with us.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I wanted to say one more thing. It's about releasing the attachment to fear, guilt, blockages, anger, resentment. So if you get rid of thinking about, I'm mad at that person, but don't worry about the person. You're thinking about those feelings that you have, and you're releasing them. You're getting rid of them and filling the bucket instead with more positive emotions.
Right. Yeah. Just simply by putting yourself in that vibration of unconditional love, accepting that even if you don't understand why something happened, or why this person is the way they are, or why the world is the way that it is.
Exactly.
When you're going into that unconditional love and acceptance, you're putting yourself in the vibratory energy in which anything can be healed.
Exactly.
Now, Teresa McCallum, author of Finding Balance and Forgiveness Through Chakras and Art, what is the most important thing that you've learned from working with the chakra system?
Oh, that's a great question. There's so many important things, but I think the very most important thing, and which is what drew me to it, is it's global and it's not discriminatory. It doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman, a child, if you're white, black, any culture. It doesn't matter what religion, if you have a religion, or what spiritual background you have, you can use the chakra system. It's not exclusive, and it's very positive, and it works on us so that we can be better people for the rest of the world. And I think that if everybody is working on improving our energy, improving the getting ourselves to positive frequencies and like positive energy, it rubs off and it becomes a global thing. So if we're doing, just as an example, if you're doing something like Ho'oponopono or working on your heart chakra, you're making your presence a better presence for other people because you're not exuding negative energy. And hopefully we pass that on exponentially and we just improve the whole planet. You know, we're hopefully doing these kinds of things not just for ourselves. We start with ourselves, because if we make ourselves better, it shines out and other people want some of that, and then it becomes a bit contagious. And so the hope, I think, of all people involved in energy healing of any type is that the energy, the frequency and the energy of the world is lifted up, and we're doing better things for our planet.
I think that's such a beautiful message, Teresa McCallum. And one thing that is true, if you are in the audience and you are an energy healer of any kind, remember that you can only lift people as far as you have gone yourself. So if you're an energy healer, you need to have personal practices like Teresa and I do that help keep your own energy system open and balanced.
Yes.
Right?
That's actually a really, really great point, Catherine, because you can get your energy depleted if you're not filling it. And you really, really need to look after yourself as a healer of any type, so that you don't become the person that needs the work. You have to be really in tune with your own energy. And maybe today is the day you have to work on yourself so that you can be good for someone else.
That's so true. And the reason that works is that we all exist in resonance.
Yeah.
So it's a law of physics that people resonate to the highest biological oscillator. So when you are at a good place, when you're happy, when you're at peace, when you're calm, then the people around you, whether that's your spouse or your children or your students or your loved ones, they can come into resonance with that peaceful, loving energy. So that everything that you do to keep your own chakras open and balanced and healthy is actually what you do to contribute to everybody around you. So Teresa McCallum, author of Finding Balance and Forgiveness Through Chakras and Art. You can find out more about Teresa at teresamccullumauthor.com. And you're in Canada, correct?
Yes, I am. Yeah. Calgary, Alberta. Calgary, Alberta.
Right. Any final thoughts?
Really just, I don't want to be that person who goes, oh, you've got to do this. You've just got to do that. But I think everybody deserves to explore alternative ways of healing and healing themselves. And the chakra system is pretty simple to actually learn. And we all need to give ourselves the gift of loving ourselves unconditionally, and also acting a little bit more like a kid. And that's what I find, like with the art piece, is if you sort of give yourself the permission to be like a child, you'll explore the avenues that you really loved as a child. And as a child, we just naturally did what was really good for our body. If we had too much energy, we ran. If we needed to, some rest, we lay down with our snuggly and our book and our teddy. So if we did more of that, we'd probably, be a lot happier and healthier.
You've been listening to The Natural Healing Show. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 best-selling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, sign up for my newsletter so that you can learn even more about how you can heal yourself naturally. And remember that when you balance your chakras, you have a very profound effect on your whole mind, body, and spirit. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.